Good evening, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Scary Stories by the Campfire. We are your counselors, Jeremy,
And Jason.
and today we are talking about A Nightmare on Elm Street, Part 4, DreamMaster.
Oh my God,
um,
DreamMaster is oh, that movie.
Jason, why don't you start us off on this one?
Um, oh my God, what is this movie? Coming off of Dream Warriors, I knew we were gonna start hitting I guess what people consider starting to hit the low point of the Nightmare series. In my opinion, it feels like Nightmare was a build up to Part 3, Dream Warriors. It peaked at Dream Warriors, and now we're on the decline. And I, going into it, I realized this was going to be like a bad movie. That's what I had in my head. I was like, this is going to be one of those bad ones. We're just gonna have to roll through it and uh, try to get through. But actually, I may take a little bit of a hit here, but it wasn't as bad as I thought. It was. It wasn't like Dream Warriors great or anything, even though that movie had a lot of cheesiness to it also. But yeah, I think this movie actually did all right. I know a lot of it had a lot of problems involved. I know at least according to, or at least from what I've seen compared to the other movies, it had some of the tamest kills. There weren't. I think there was like one creative kill in kind of the entire thing. Well, maybe two. I'll give it two. But I mean, the rest of it was just kind of a letdown in the kills department compared to some of the other movies.
Yeah, so in the kills, it was kind of a letdown for that. But and it's like you said, like going into it, we're expecting this bad movie, this slow decline down this very rough hill of Nightmare on Elm Street that we're getting into. Because let's just be honest, as we keep going into Dream Child and Freddys Dead, we're just about to get a whole lot campier and worse. But it was definitely better than I remember. Um, with that being said, though, there were some good parts and there were some really bad parts, and some um, kind of effects that just didn't hold up compared to others. And I think this is where, like, unlike in Dream Warriors, where you had the balance between one liner Freddy and scary Freddy, we get the over the top campy one liner Freddy that everybody has grown to know and love. And I think this is really where he was born.
Yeah, I know this is um got the campier Freddy. I don't actually like this Freddy as much. I liked him back in Dream Warriors where he was kind of campy, but he was very like methodical in what he was doing and how he was trying to pit the team against each other and whatnot. In this movie, you got a cast of characters who do okay. Okay, when we talked about the first movie and we talked about how the characters really didn't do anything in that movie, these characters did nothing. They did they did nothing, and I don't know. It was just they were just getting picked off one by one, and not one of them was actually well. They weren't doing anything. They
Not
really
only.
had no powers. They no creativity to how these characters. Actually, now that I think about it, none of these characters had like real personalities. You had You had the one girl, um, uh, Debbie, I think her name was. She was, oh, I'm into fitness and I don't like bugs. And then you got, I think like the love interest Dan. He was just there.
Yep,
And
Dan.
you had the smart girl didn't do anything.
Sheila. Her name was Sheila.
Sheila, yeah, yeah, didn't do anything. Rick, who is the brother, didn't do anything. Um, Alice, who is our supposed dream master, spoiler alert, defeats Freddy with a mirror or something. It's just it was kind of a mess towards the end of the movie there. But I mean, overall, yeah, they didn't really have anything that stood out,
Yeah,
at least for them.
and looking back at the plot of the movie, like I know they're trying to do like this sequel to Dream Warriors, and it just I don't know. I just felt like it didn't really do much, and maybe it was the characters doing nothing, but I just felt like the movie didn't do much. I got a lot of laughs out of Campy Freddy, but the overall story was just kind of meh, to say the least. I mean, the plot just kind of trucked along with the same stuff we've been watching for the last 3 movies, just with more campiness and a little bit bad CGI.
And I mean, they did tie it over with the Dream Warriors movie by having like the surviving character show up in it. But if
For
you're a
a
fan of that
whopping
movie,
10 minutes.
yeah, if you're watching if you love Dream Warriors and you go, oh look, there's Kincaid and there's Joey and eh, oh no, they're dead. Okay, that's cool. I mean, it was yeah, but Jeremy, let's talk about the resurrection of Freddy Krueger when a dog just peed fire all over the place.
So I actually just read something. It was supposed to be an interpretation of a hellhound resurrecting Freddy for how evil Freddy is supposed to be. And honestly, I didn't get it. I would never have thought that in a million years unless
That's
I
what they
read
were
it.
going. That was what they were going for, an interpretation of a hellhound raising Freddy.
Yeah,
When they got like the cutest dog ever, who,
he's a good
by the
boy.
way, is a good boy, but was also named Jason. So I don't know if that was a nod towards
I think it was.
Voorhees. Probably a nod towards Voorhees there.
I think it
But
was.
yeah. But there's a lot of stuff that didn't make sense in this movie, like that scene and the scene with the brother in the casket where he pops up in the casket and he's like, "Hello, baby," and
Oh man.
he tells his sister, "Hey, it's fake. Freddy didn't get me. I'm just hiding. I'm gonna crawl back in the casket now." And closes the door, and this is the last you ever see him. Until he becomes a meatball later on, I suppose.
And
Oh,
man,
God, this movie.
it was, and this is definitely where, pop culture Freddy comes into play, because you get, you know, this here. This right here is what you get the first time ever. You get Summer Freddy
Oh,
rocking them shades. My God, Robert Englund is just rocking them shades. And if anybody who's seen the movie, spoiler, this is where Kristen dies, and he just kind of pushes her head into the sand, into the house. Just kind of pushes her down with a foot, and just
he's got. He's got. I'm looking at that picture. He's got some sort of like demon look to him, but he's like goofy demon. He doesn't look like a human in that picture.
it's just mind blowing how, like, this is where we start getting the pop culture version of Freddy, is this movie. Like, if you look at him, you notice that all of the wet burn look is completely gone in this movie. All of it. It's complete dry.
Yeah, he's very dry looking in this. And this is what I Freddy, as I would remember him, this is what Freddy looks like. Not slimy, drippy, gross Freddy, but
I
this
do
is
like
what Freddy.
I do like slimy, drippy Freddy better though. I do. I really do.
I think yeah, I mean, for the time, slimy, drippy, gross Freddy is, kind of more intimidating looking, and he's just kind of, uh, I mean, I guess you can get that look if you've, been gassed and on fire, and it's just kind of, you know, grossness lingering on you. But yeah, I don't know. This Freddy's just kind of what I've always pictured, and yeah, this is where he comes from. So
So let's talk about. We kind of brought it up. Let's talk about the kills in this one. And I know we kind of brought it up a little bit at the beginning, but like, there was only one decently creative kill in the entire movie.
I'm gonna give it two creative kills, and I know which one you're talking about. Do you know
Yeah,
which one
so
I'm talking about?
I honestly don't know which one you're the second one you're talking about. Obviously, we're thinking about the same first one. Not even gonna lie.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know.
Rick's.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's the one I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. Top
Rick.
notch. I was actually thinking of Joey, but sure. Let's die to
Oh,
a
okay.
pair of boobs.
Mm-hmm. No, he got captured by those in the last movie too. So his downfall is boobs. So
But in my
oh,
opinion, the most creative one is Debbie
mm-hmm,
being turned
mm-hmm.
into a cockroach. And it's gross. Like, it's creative and gross.
Yeah, it. Here's the thing about this movie, Jeremy. I remembered the scene where they're trying to go save Debbie, right? And they keep doing like the time rewind thing, where they kept doing like the same thing over and over again, trying to get to her.
Fun fact, that was Robert Englund's favorite scene in the entire movie.
Well, it was very creative the way they kind of did it, but for some reason, I kept thinking that was a different movie. That was like a later movie down the line, and um, that's this movie is that's really the only thing I remember from it is the cockroach scene because everything else to me felt like it came from a different movie. For some reason, I'm thinking that there's some sort of movie in between um, Dream Child and Freddy's Dead, or something in between Freddy's Dead and New Nightmare. And but no, once we started getting rolling, I'm going, oh, it's this movie that I remember some of this. But yes, the Debbie's cockroach. Did we establish whether the fly came out first or if it was this? I think
Uh,
we
the
said
Fly
the.
came out first, actually. The Jeff Goldblum
Okay.
version of The Fly came out first. And I think, personally, that they used some of the ideas from that to create this.
I I wouldn't doubt it. There's a lot of similarities. Uh, uh, there's a lot of similarities between this scene and what happens with um, Jeff Goldblum's character in The Fly. Which, when we get to that movie, we'll discuss that more because that's definitely one of my favorite horror movies out there. Um, but
Ravenfire did say that that's what we decided on Monday for during movie night was that The Fly
I
did
get
come out first.
I get it's not what we decide on; is what the actual facts are, Jeremy.
Hey, that's
But
what she said.
no,
I'm just reading her comment.
okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead and continue with um what you're talking about with the why this was your favorite scene.
I just like the creativeness of it, the practical effects, stuff like that. I'm a big practical effects person that works out, and I think these practical effects worked for when they came out, and they still hold up to today, comparatively to some of the CGI that's in the movie. But yeah, I think these practical effects held up, and it's very creative, and it kind of ties into the whole Dream Warriors creativeness of killing Freddy, killing off his victims. In a way, she's afraid of bugs and cockroaches, so he turns her into one and kills her that way. Uh,
Y- Yeah. Yeah, The Fly came out in '86 and this came out in '88, so it's about 2 year difference there. Yeah. The practical and that's the thing about it is that when you're gonna do practical effects like this, the transformation scenes with the elbow snappings and the little arms, coming out and and her face getting stuck to the sticky stuff,
yeah,
the trap material or whatever, and then her trying to pull her face off of it, and her face comes off, and it's a roach head up underneath. I think all that worked brilliantly until um, I got a couple chuckles out of like the actual roach thing because you could tell it was like someone in like a big kind of roach bag. It looked like, at least to me, like you got her legs sitting there and she's just wearing like a roach top,
like
and
a
she's just kind of doing this kind of swaying motion, and you can kind of see it looks, at least the body of it looked kind of fake. The arms and the heads were still really really done well, but the body of it just seemed kind of fake to me. But
yeah,
I'm not knocking it. It's just what happens.
yeah, and I can agree to that. You know, uh, she's just in there wiggling back and forth. I just like I said, I like the creativeness of it. So
Mm-hmm.
we obviously thought about the same one, but what's your second one? Because I'm curious
Uh,
now.
Actually, Sheila's. I'm gonna give it because
Oh yeah,
she had. I don't know. It's very like it's not graphic in any sort of nature. Like I said, these kills were very tame. They were either like a stab to the chest, or that was Debbie's was like the most creative and kind of the most painful if you think about it, because she was stuck to the fly trap or whatever and was literally ripping skin off and turning into this roach at the same time. But Sheila had this. She had asthma, and as a creative way to kill her off, um, Freddy pretty much just sucked the air out of her.
do you want to
And in
suck
in the
face?
and in the dream sequence, she just kind of deflated into like this little plastic rubber person or whatever. Um, the effects weren't that great, but the idea behind it was, and in the real world, she was having some sort of asthma attack. And that's the thing with this movie is that I know we harped on the rules of these series and like how the rules that were applied in part two don't really apply to anything else. They just kind of and the rules that come later just kind of skip those rules. But none of the rules that made sense in any of the other movies made sense in this movie. Like anything that happened in the dream world happened in the real world. So if Freddy is, cutting you with his claws or whatever, your body on the in the real world is going to have those cuts and whatnot. I don't know how many people he stabbed in this movie, and not one of them had a drop of blood.
Oh
Was he
no.
just was he just like, I'm just gonna stab him, but not? Is that something he can do? He can make that stuff manifest in the real world? I was thinking it was just like, get stabbed in the dream world, you're gonna bleed all over the place in the real world, but apparently not, because Kincaid was stabbed and nothing. He just kind of died, and Joey got pulled into the waterbed. That was kind of a creative idea, but the way it kind of took place didn't make any sense.
Yeah, and Raven said that was her. Sheila's was her favorite kill because he kissed her to death.
And see, that's some of the creative Freddy puns that don't go too far. They don't go. They're not getting into the power glove territory.
Yeah.
Um, it's literally like you want to suck face and then death. Or I thought there was another one.
The
I
other
don't think.
the other big one-liner was with Joey's death was, "How's this for a wet dream?"
Yeah, that one's probably one of the more famous lines. I thought he said something with Debbie when he was spotting her or something like that. He's like, need a maybe he didn't say anything about a spotter. I think that would have been a good one. He's like standing over. He's got the weights and saying, "He's like, need a spot," and then, but maybe they had that at one point, and they're like, "Nope, nope, we ain't that campy yet. Not not yet."
Well, these people that we killed off, these characters, it's interesting to talk about because as we dive into the characters of this movie, like they change focus from main character rather quickly, in my opinion. Like yeah, they show Kristen at the beginning, but they immediately switch it off to Alice taking over the main role and go ahead and kill off the 3 remaining Dream Warriors to go ahead and set that up. And Lisa Wilcox, who played Alice, it was very hit or miss for me. In some scenes, she was great, and in some scenes, it was just kind of, what? Really? That's what we're going with?
I think her character problem was that um, I think the actress did all right. I think the problem was that she's not that great of a character. The idea, okay, so in the Dream Warriors, each of these characters has a special dream power, right? That they can use to defend themselves against Freddy. Uh, but Alice is supposed to be this dream master, and her special ability is that she can absorb the powers of, I guess, her friends or people she's known. I don't know exactly how that works. I don't know if it's someone you have to know personally, or like I said, they don't really explain anything. But when Alice or was it Kristen?
Yeah, Kristen Parker.
Yeah, when she dies, Alice absorbs her powers of bringing people into the dream world whenever she falls asleep. But they don't ever explain like who has any powers. Like her brother Rick, he can do this kind of karate stuff. He's not trained at it, and he's supposed to be really good at it, but it's just kind of the Karate Kid without Mr. Miyagi. It's and he ends up getting killed,
By Aaron.
and all of a sudden, yeah, and then all of a sudden she absorbs his karate powers. Like now she knows kung fu or something like that, and it's you know, what did Debbie have? She didn't. They never explained her having a power. Sheila, as far as I'm aware, she didn't have a power. So all these characters don't have any powers, or at least they never explained it. So really, the Dream Master only absorbed maybe 2 bits of power, kung fu and being able to drag people into your dreams. And half the time, she only drug them in by accident just to get them killed.
Hey, Sheila had a power. She made that EMF bug thing that looked like a pipe bomb that shot a hole through Freddy's chest and gave us that very terrible CGI.
Yeah, and apparently you had to rip cabling out of the walls and jam it into it to get it to work. Okay. Ravenfire says they don't build the story enough. Neither the characters. It was rushed. Yeah, it felt like it was kind of rushed, at least to me, a
What?
little bit. There wasn't a whole lot of. Did they have a timeline? Do you know? They had like
Actually,
this
it's
was done like
funny that you mentioned that. The
what?
writer, um, I can't remember how to pronounce it. It's Helgeland or something like that. He had actually wrote his debut movie was another Robert Englund movie. Robert Englund actually recommended him for this one, but Shane, the owner of New Line Cinema, the president, actually told him because this movie had no script, no director, but it had a set release date. And they hired this dude under the condition that he could deliver the script within 7 days. 7 days. He had
So
to
he
write a
wrote this.
script for this
He wrote
movie.
this script in 7 days. Yeah, that sounds like a studio problem right there.
The studio told
That's
him that if he could not write it and have it delivered in 7 days, they weren't going to take it.
so they would just have someone else do it.
Yeah, I'm assuming they would.
I mean, we could have had something entirely better. We could have something entirely worse.
Well, they said that his original script, a lot of it got edited out because it was too campy and ridiculous. Yeah.
um, yeah,
But when
that's
you have a Death of Freddy like this, I think it's pretty campy and ridiculous, to say the least.
I mean that. I mean, Freddy's died several times now. I think in the first movie, what he was burned to death, and then he something. Um, Second movie, he got stabbed by his own glove or something like that. I don't know. I mean, this one wasn't like the worst thing because they did actually keep the idea that he's the people he kills in the dream world. He is collecting their souls, and you get to see that as really cool effects on his body there. Um,
Well,
and I did actually kind of like the idea that once he was weakened by the mirror shard or the glass or whatever. So his one main weakness is he can't look at himself in a mirror at all, or his little souls will start climbing out of his body or something like that.
which this is
Uh,
another practical effect that I really enjoyed. Um, it's very it's very well done, and like you said, the idea behind it is cool. I like it, but I just don't like how we got there. Um, I just don't like the whole mirror thing. I think it's kind of. I mean,
yeah, like I said, the ending felt rushed because you have this whole scene where she's montaging up, so she's getting all the gear that her friends had, bandanas and karate nunchucks and that taser bomb thing. Um, and she's putting all this together. And she's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go beat up Freddy." And then she goes to the dream world, and they have a fist fight. They're throwing fists and kicking and doing stuff, and this goes on for like I don't know 5-10 minutes. They're smacking each other around, and then all of a sudden she's just like, "Oh, I remember what the Dream Master uh poem or whatever it was. I remember what it said." And she used a shard of glass or some sort of mirror to reflect that in because apparently uh, evil can't look at itself. And then you get the scene where his souls are, which actually Ravenfire said that was my favorite death of his so far. His own tortured souls tore him apart. So it is kind of ironic that once he absorbed all the souls, he's like, haha, they're mine now. They give me power, and then they just pretty much storm apart.
And she did take something at Debbie's. It was the leather jacket and the spiked cuff. That was it. That was it right there. That was Debbie's worthwhile contribution to the DreamMaster. Here's my jacket. Here's some spiked leather cuffs. And Dan, I hope you don't die while being put to sleep in the ER.
Raven said all that gear was moral support, essentially. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to go into fight some big bad for your friends who've all died, you may want to take a piece of them with you to know what you're fighting for. But yeah, Kung Fu Freddy's not fun.
So
Kung Fu Freddy's boring.
Yes, but there was a scene in this movie that when we watched it on Monday, when it happened, I think me and Jason and probably everybody watching with us, we almost fell out of our chairs laughing. And it wasn't anything he said. It was strictly the look that Freddy gave everybody to the camera. And it's this one here. He's just got this look on his face.
So,
like,
this...
I mean, just looking at it, I'm laughing. Just looking at this picture.
That scene was by far one of the funniest scenes. It reminded me of like a Beavis and Butthead type of thing. Like, she's in the diner, and she's looking at herself, who's like 100 years old or whatever, and she's in this diner, still doing the hostess stuff or whatever, and Freddy slides in next to her, and he's just like, if the food don't kill you, the service will. And he tucks in his upper lip. He's got this kind of upper lip thing going on. He's like, and he throws out a couple of those. It's not like he just says the line and stops. He throws it. Oh my god!
And it leads into the second best part of the scene, where like this pizza appears on the table, and it's got like meatballs, and all the meatballs are the faces of her friends that he's killed. And he takes his finger knife and he's like, Rick, such a plump little meatball. And he just picks it up with his finger and like eats it. And he's still got that tucked lip look as he's eating this meatball.
Little meatballs are screaming, and
and I was just like, oh sweet Lord, like, I need more of this Freddy. This is what I need. If we're going to do campy Freddy and some bad movies, I need tucked lip Freddy the entire time with this cheesy leprechaun grin on his face.
I know the next movie, Dream Child, is I think it's considered, well, no, Freddy's Dead probably I would consider probably the worst of the franchise. But once we get through all these Freddy movies, we'll put them in our order from worst to best. But yeah, I think the next couple Freddy movies gonna get campier, at least with the Freddy himself. But I don't know how like good campy is it gonna be. Is it gonna be like Adam West Batman campy, where you're just like, man, this is some silly stuff, but it's funny? Or is it just gonna be like some sort of really bad campy where you're like, oh god, this hurts just to listen to it. I can't do this. Oh, only time will tell. We get to that point.
Yeah, and like I said, we were laughing so hard at this just one scene, and God, it just rings true, like, of what made the campy part of Freddy's real. Like this was, without a shred of doubt that we have left the Freddy's Revenge, Nightmare on Elm Street, Creepy Freddy, and we have gone into pure campy Freddy. This is no longer trying to scare you anymore.
Yeah, this movie had zero scare factor to it. There was nothing like even remotely creepy about it. I mean, there was some gross things that happened, and there's some kind of off-putting feelings, but there's nothing that was just like, if you pit this Freddy against like Nightmare 1 Freddy, yeah, Nightmare 1 Freddy's creepy. He says very little, and there's almost no creativity to him in the first movie. He's just there to kill you. I'm gonna kill you, and that's what I'm gonna do. And but the there wasn't a whole lot of creativity in this one either, so I can't really say too much on that.
Sorry. Sneeze there.
I mean, like I said, the cockroach thing was pretty creative, but overall,
Yeah.
I
don't know. Overall, man, if I had, what would you rate this movie on a scale of 1 to 10?
I can't remember my ratings for the other movies.
You're at a 7. No, an 8 for the first one.
Was it an 8?
Yep. No, it was a 7 for the first
7
one.
7 on the first one. I think it was like a 6
on the second, and an 8 on the third.
I would give this movie. I'd give this movie a 6. It's a little bit high, but when you can sit down like we did when we have our movie time on Mondays, which, if you guys are out there and you want to check it out.
Movie time Mondays.
Movie time Mondays. We sat down and we just laughed at the movie. We had a good time with the movie. And there's going to be movies we can do that with. There's going to be movies that we can't do that with. But this was one of the movies where you could just sit down, crack jokes, and laugh at some of the funnier moments and just kind of be grossed out at some of the grosser moments. But overall, like I said before, it's better than I kind of remember. But it's not the best. It's still going to be lower than at least the other 3. The other 3 still rank higher than this, so.
Well, Ravenfire gave it an 8 for hilariousness and creativity.
Wow.
That's awfully high. Not even gonna lie. That is absurdly high.
But that's the great thing with opinions and movies and stuff, because there could be a movie out there that no one likes. Apparently, it's low ratings and stuff like that, and you can just love it for what it is and always enjoy it. So
yeah, it's called.
So yeah, I'm
gonna. Duh.
Oh God, yeah, we still gotta do those. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a 6. Jeremy, what do you give the movie?
Let's see. I'm gonna give it a little bit. I think I'm gonna tie it with Freddy's Revenge.
You just did the same thing I did, bro.
I think I'm gonna tie it with Freddy's Revenge just because it's 2 different movies. And honestly, and that's the way I kind of feel about these, the later ones compared to the old ones. It's almost like comparing apples to oranges, even though it's all Nightmare on Elm Street. It's 2 completely different versions. So yeah. I really can't be all like, oh well, you're right. It's not as good as the other ones. So I can't place it on a higher one comparatively to the first or Dream Warriors. Dream Warriors still being number 1 right now, holding the record at 8 for me. number one being 7, just like you, and Freddy's Revenge and this one being a 6. Um, it it's just a different kind of movie, and it's like you said, we can come in and we're sitting there watching it on Movie Time Mondays, and we just have fun with it. And I think that was the best part about it is like, I don't think it's trying to be serious, like at all. I think it knows it's campy, and that's what it's going for. I think I think the director and the writer and all them just were like, you know what? Let's just go for the campiness. Let's do it. Mm-hmm. We've already started it. Let's just go all the way. And I actually think that's why they got campier, is because this was the highest grossing horror film in 1988. This one.
Wow.
So either A, 1988 was a terrible year for horror movies. I don't know what else came out that year.
I'm looking it up right now. I'm going to find it while you're continuing.
So either, like I said, either A, it was a very bad year for horror movies, or the icon that had been created from Wes Craven had grown so much that everybody wanted to go see what the next installment was. And they didn't care if it was going to be good or bad. They were just going to go with it. So that's why I kind of feel like it gets that same rating as Freddy's Revenge. It's just two different movies at this point. And it's good that we're able to come in and enjoy it and have fun with it.
Oh.
You look like you got a list ready.
Yeah, I'm trying to oh, there we go.
What you got?
I'm just gonna see if I got a list of horror movies that were released in 1988. I'm just gonna try to you said this was the highest grossing one?
Highest grossing horror film in 1988.
Okay, I'm gonna just give you some of them because there's a long list here. But you got the Blob. The Blob remake came out in '88.
The remake. Okay.
Jeremy. Child's Play came out in '88.
The original.
The original Child's Play.
So so Campy Freddy is comparing in the same year with Chucky, and Freddy still won. Well, I get it. Freddy has the history.
Yeah, Freddy's already on movie 4 at this point, and Child's Play is just starting.
I get that.
Elvira, Mistress of the Dark.
Okay.
Friday the 13th. Was that part 7? The New Blood.
Huh. Okay. Well, by then the Friday the 13th series was kind of, going downhill.
Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers.
Oh yeah, like that movie's gonna get a high grossing amount.
Well, at the time, who knew? Well, actually, that was the return of. It says in the title, The Return of Michael Myers. People were clamoring for another Michael Myers movie.
That is true. So it's kind of funny that Freddy beat him.
Hellbound, Hellraiser 2.
Wow. There were some heavy hitters.
Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
That one I can imagine. They got a new game coming out. Kind of off topic.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of ran off topic with this, but I was just trying to Night of the Demons. Phantasm 2.
That's a good one. But Phantasm wasn't doing really well to begin with.
Pumpkinhead. Sleepaway Camp 2. Oh.
So it sounds like 1988 was a great year for horror movies that came out.
I mean, it does have some Wood Chipper Massacre.
Hey, we're gonna have to find that one.
But yeah, I mean, there's some decent movies that came out in '88. It's just I think what it was that this movie after Dream Warriors this would have been a hot topic
Yeah,
thing, and they're just trying to push out a movie real quick. So
and I think part of it is, back then, it was push movies out or be forgotten. You know,
hmm
they didn't want to be forgotten. And coming off the Dream Warriors high rise, I can see how this movie would have been the highest grossing comparatively to other ones. I am kind of shocked though that they did beat out Halloween 4 after everyone demanded Michael Myers come back after Season of the Witch, but still, like, it was it's cool to see. And yes, we get the campiness, but it worked. I think it worked in this movie. I give it a 6, but it still worked for this movie. Um,
yeah,
and a
yeah.
lot of my point deductions are just mostly some of the story stuff, the characters, and effects that didn't work. I mean, that's
I
just it.
think I think um, going back and actually thinking about it, I like the idea of the story. I like the idea behind it because in Dream Warriors, you're introduced to a group of kids. The idea behind Dream Warriors is that there's people out there who have these special powers in their dreams. So naturally, they can fight back against Krueger. And I think the idea of this movie was that instead of having a group of people who have powers, the Dream Master is someone who can take their powers from the fallen Dream Warriors, so to speak, and use those powers as one person. And I'm like, that idea sounds really cool. I just think the execution was kind of poor because they really didn't give anyone any powers except for Kung Fu Rick, and Kung Fu Rick had to fight Invisible Freddy, so that was kind of lame too.
That was lame. I really wish they would have, like, out of all the stuff they've done with Freddy, they couldn't put him, you know, in a karate attire and have him go kung fu on Rick. Like,
Yeah,
what I wouldn't give to see black belt Freddy Krueger.
have him with one of those. I don't know exactly what they're called, but he's got like the kung fu robe thing on top, but it's striped black and red,
It,
like
like a
yeah,
sweater. Like, what
yeah,
I
like a
wouldn't
sweater.
give to see that. That would be great.
But then what? He finds his center and beats Invisible Freddy, knocking his glove off or whatever. He's like, "Yeah, what you gonna do without your glove?" And then the glove just gets up and stabs him. Just flies up and stabs him. It's like, wow, you know,
Well,
just
Raven said, in a way, they're getting better, but they're different animals. But in the scare category, they're getting less scary. But the creativity is getting better. But they're rushed, they have the potential, and they could have been so much more. With Campy. We have yet to scratch the surface of Campy. Just wait.
we we're we're about to test those waters to see if they're getting better. Trust me. We're
Um,
gonna get into the next couple ones, and you're gonna be like, wow, this is because Dream Child is next. Freddys Dead is after that. Then we're gonna shake up the barrel with Wes Craven's New Nightmare, which is actually relatively meta. It takes place in the real world where all the Nightmare movies are movies. That's what they are, and a lot of the people who are behind the scenes do make appearances in the movie as behind the scenes people. And yeah, it kind of changes the whole Freddy lore type thing. Um,
well,
and
we
then
got a
then
few more minutes left. If anybody's got any questions for us, feel free to post them. We'll get them answered, before we sign off here. But like you said, we got Dream Child next. Don't forget, guys, we have Movie Night Monday on our Discord. Just go to our Facebook and you'll find the link to our Discord for Movie Night Monday. We stream it live so everyone can watch it. Bring your popcorn, bring your friends, bring your drinks. And like Jason said, it's a good time. We enjoy it. And people who have came in there have enjoyed it too.
Yeah, originally I thought it was going to be more of a serious thing. We sit down, we watch the movie, and but then it turns into if the food here don't kill you, the service will. And then by that point we're cracking jokes. By that point, we were cracking jokes at the beginning of the movie before the movie started. So, but it's good fun time. Just come in. We'll post out links. Usually about 30 minutes before movie time. It's 8:30 Central on Mondays.
Yep.
On our Discord channel, we have a specific one designed specifically for the movies. Yeah, so can't wait for the next one.
I can't either. Well, everyone, that's it for us. We'll be here again at the same fire, telling the same stories. Freddy Krueger, he's got a few more left in him before we start it off on our next series.
Till we start rolling into old Crystal Lake, camping and whatnot.
Yes, sir.
Then remakes.
Woo!
Gotta love remakes.
Well, everyone, stay safe out there. We appreciate everything, and all y'all have a great night.
All right, later.